welcome to another Fullstack Grace Hopper Demo Day Live. We are here in beautiful New York City. My name is David Yang, and I'm here with Nimit Maru and John McDonald, one of our instructors. And we are really excited to go through a lot of really great work today. So let's get started. We've had students from all over the country participate. So just a quick example of some of the cities involved here. All over the United States, and so really excited to see kind of what their motions have been working on, the kind of projects that come out. We even have a student in Seoul participating. So next, we'll be joined by our Grace Hopper program. There's 7 teams presenting, followed by Chicago, 5 teams in Chicago, and then 13 teams in New York City.
I'm totally in love with the remote program. What we've done here at Fullstack is basically recreated the campus experience in an online environment. So it's exactly like you're here with us, except I think it's better. There's no MTA you have to deal with. Your commute is 30 seconds. You make your own coffee, even though the coffee here is wonderful. Thank you, David. Thank you, Nimit. First up is an app. And the reason I put it first is because it's basically recreating the online learning environment.
We created Boomerang, a new platform that transforms the education experience for both teachers and students. The genesis of our project stemmed from half of our group being former educators and all of us remote students. We wanted to create a learning platform that meets the needs of modern students and classrooms. Boomerang is not PowerPoint. It is a live web application. Teachers and students can create, modify, and interact with slides on the fly.
John is an instructor at Fullstack. Today, he is using Boomerang for a lesson about Node. With Boomerang, John can create a lesson with all the functionalities of PowerPoint. On the web page, all colors and images are built with JavaScript objects. Boomerang can do a lot more. You can create flashcards, create and store code challenges, and store video clips.
Today, John will be given a class about the event loop. He is able to quickly assess who is present and can start the lesson. Due to the difficult nature of the concept, all students were given some pre-reading material. At the beginning of the class, John wants to gauge how well students understood the pre-reading material by using Boomerang's real-time emoji feature.
On the student side, I'm able to honestly and anonymously answer the questions shared with the class. However, John isn't the only one who has access to the student feedback. I am able to see in real time my fellow classmates' responses, enabling me to assess my own understanding in relation to my peers.
Oh, that was very impressive. I think it's so, not only is it a breadth of features, like the breadth of features, they're all, integrated nicely. And I definitely agree with the thesis that, we are definitely in V1 of what internet can do for education. Right? Like some video conferencing, some videos, but a lot of stuff that's much more interactive. I also think Sean has probably the most movie-ready voice. So it's almost sounded like a movie trailer for me. So.
Next up, we have another app that's incredibly professional looking, bursting at the seams with features. It's quite an amazing app. So.
Getting started as a job seeker is easy. Sign up and start building your profile. Then start the camera, take your photo, and record a video introduction.
We can choose one of the open sessions to practice with another user. Paired users have access to live video conferencing, a shared Blackboard for typing, and a whiteboard for drawing, and a list of questions to choose from.
Now that you're familiar with the interviewing platform and are ready to apply to a job, you can add a statement of interest or cover letter and apply.
I was also really impressed by the scheduler. I thought that it's, a scheduler is always an app that looks it looks much simpler than it actually is to implement anything like that. So very impressive.
Yeah, the hallmark of a great JavaScript engineer, they use the tools if they exist. And if there's a tool that's not right for the job, they make their own. I always love games, and I love it when students create games because, well, I love playing games, and I've made it one of my jobs as an instructor to always try and be top of the leaderboard on a student's games.
That's great. Yeah.
But I love games, not just because they're fun to play. They they can be very technically complex to manage. There are architectural issues, there are state management issues, there are gameplay issues. And it shows JavaScript's flexibility as a programming language that you can create something like Boomerang, you can create something like Workit. And you can also create something like what we're about to see.
Hello, everyone. My name is Albert O. I worked with Sky Mason and Sid Nguyen to build our app, Death Road to Toronto. When the user enters our game, they spawn at a certain location. After spawning, multiple zombies will chase the closest player. Once enough regular zombies are defeated, a boss zombie spawns to challenge the players. Each player also has ability to switch between 6 different weapon types, each with different range, ammo, and damage to the zombies.
One of the biggest gameplay challenges was creating objects that could collide with each other. In our game, zombies, players, buildings, and missiles all have unique collision patterns determined by what they collide with. Through Phaser's built-in grouping of sprites, we can manipulate collision behavior and how that affects gameplay.
Seems like I like the WebSpeech API aspect to it too. I think that's kind of a cool.
Yeah, sorry, you might have heard me shout machine gun a chainsaw a few many times while you were walking by. And the fact that it's multiplayer, that they've had to think about what is being calculated on the server, what's being calculated on the client. Yeah, it's a good app they've built here. But what I most like about this app that you're about to see is how tactile it really is. So it's they've really thought about using colors, D3, drag and drop, CSS transitions. So it's very touchable. It really makes people want to use it.
What is my current fitness goal? Personally, I'm trying to gain muscle. I'm a tall guy, a little underweight at 6'6", only 210 pounds. I'm a 24-year-old male. So it looks like we're ready to start planning meals. I'm gonna go ahead and add some recipes to my day squares. Sausage gravy, that's a Southern classic. For lunch, I'm thinking Cuban. There's a lot of protein there.
So in our data visualizations, we have calories are in purple, we have our protein in blue, then our carbohydrates are in yellow, and our fat is in orange.
To allow users texting functionality, we take the user's phone number and grocery list, and we send it to the Twilio API from our backend. Simply click the button, enter your phone number, hit submit, and wait for the text. Awesome, there it is.
I thought it looked great. It was a great, great visualization. You're right, very tactile. And I like the chat interface they had at the beginning. That was, I've seen that a few times. That looks really cool. Yeah, I totally agree. I also really like the calendar integration, which I've not seen before actually in a food planning app. But I think it makes a lot of sense that instead of just penciling in lunch, you actually kind of pencil in what you're going to be having.
We have our final remote team. I really don't know what to say about these guys. They call themselves the Mad Scientists, and I think it's a suitable moniker. So their product consists of a web application, a React Native mobile app, and a hardware app, all connected to each other. And what's impressive is not just that they successfully created these kind of 3 separate apps, but they collaboratively built the hardware application in the last 2.5 weeks or so, only meeting for the first time in person yesterday. We had an electrical engineer in India, we had 2 people working in New York and New Jersey, and then someone out in California, all working on basically what is a hardware product.
Wow.
So first, let's sign up. Suyash is entering his account information and taking some photos. Once he has some good shots, he's ready to go. Shortly, an entrance camera will track the user's face as they walk in, and they're greeted by SmartMark.
Hello, Ray. Welcome to the store.
We have our mobile app on the right and admin app on the bottom being updated in real time as users enter the store.
Hello, Suyash. Welcome to the store.
Suyash now proceeds to make his first item purchase, and we have the sensor programmed to detect how many items have actually been grabbed. At the same time, another camera takes a photo to ensure the correct user is charged. As you can see now, you can even put items back, and the sensor has been designed to intelligently detect the distance between products and adjust the quantity of the items you grabbed accordingly. After walking out, exit camera captures the user one last time. We then charge your card on file and send you an email receipt. If you view your order history, you'll see a dispute button in the details screen so you can dispute any errors that might have been made.
Smart Mart was built in a few weeks with a small budget by a remote team with members working in 2 different continents. These constraints posed many challenges along the way. However, hypermodularity allowed us to test every moving part individually so that when we met in person, all we had to do was connect everything over the same network.
All right, if you don't like grocery lines, feel free to vote for Smart Mart, like the post, like the pinned comment. That was really cool. It was really it was very much, I couldn't tell if I was watching a student project or like a Silicon Valley pitch. Yeah, the demo looked pretty cool. It was like walk in, I don't know that much of the Kairos API, but they seem to have integrated well.
I got to work with these students for the first 6 weeks, the remote cohort, and so incredibly impressed with all of their projects.
Yeah, those are some really great projects. I'm very impressed by all of them, by the breadth of the type of stuff they chose to work on. This is Karen McPherson. Karen is another instructor here at Fullstack and Grace Hopper, and Karen will be introducing the Grace Hopper project.
Our Grace Hopper program is part of Fullstack's mission to help us close the large gender gap that we see in the tech community. So the Grace Hopper program at Fullstack Academy offers the exact same curriculum and rigor as our full-time software engineering immersive. However, but it is for women specifically and also offers a deferred tuition model that helps us both lower the barriers and the risk for incoming students. And so what that means is that students do not pay us tuition until they get a job.
Women are more attuned than ever to the disadvantages we face in the workplace and what we can do to overcome them. The use of qualifying phrases like this, "I'm no expert," is an example of how women undermine our own authority. With Power Prose, women choose words and phrases they'd like to track, they record their speech during business interactions, and they receive personalized speech pattern analysis.
A sign-in user is brought directly to the Speak page. Here she can see a current list of her watchwords and add or remove words. When she's ready to record a conversation, she hits the Start Record button. We'll now be joining Julie as she wraps up her business meeting.
Before we part, I'd just like to ask if the report will include diagrams. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.
When she ends her call, she can see each time she's used a watchword and something we call snippets.
Here, the user can view information about watchwords spoken and tones perceived in each conversation she's recorded. In addition to the speech-to-text API, we also use Watson's Tone Analyzer API. It uses linguistic analysis to detect a range of tones, like confidence, joy, and tentativeness.
I am in love with that idea. Even I think it's such a cool thing because it's like applying a data view to things that we do subconsciously or unconsciously, and I just think of like so many applications of it. Even if it's like not real time, it's just having that data on your presentations, on your talking. I think it's super powerful, and I think it presented so well.
The best way to overcome any habit too is to actually get data on it, actually know when it's happening, right? And so you can go back, analyze your own conversations with other people. It's a great field for this, and I hope that we see a lot more like this in the future. Next up, we have Exquisite Graveyard. So I'm really excited to introduce this app because it is just so much fun to play.
Exquisite Graveyard is a collaborative drawing game, which took its inspiration from the Exquisite Corpse game, first played by surrealist artists of the 1920s. Each player adds to a drawing in sequence, while only viewing a small snippet of the previous panel.
Player 1 creates a game, gives the drawing a title, selects a category, and starts drawing on the first of the 3 panels. We incorporated a library called React Canva for our drawing element. As player 1 wraps up, she makes sure to draw to the bottom of her panel so that the next player can make some interesting connections.
Player 2 sees her new panel immediately and starts to draw. We render the bottom 7% of the previous panel as a snippet so that she can connect her lines to those that have been left for her. Once she finishes up her masterpiece, she passes it on to the final artist. Once the drawing is complete, all 3 artists have access to it in their galleries. It's exquisite.
That's really well done. I love those kind of projects where it's like interactive and you get to create kind of content. It's kind of like, I don't know. I really like those kind of games.
Like you're writing a story and everyone writes one sentence. It's like a game, but it's also collaborative and brings people together and probably a lot of laughter and fun. Love games like that.
It doesn't get boring because there's just by playing the game, you're creating kind of a new experience every time. So.
New Yorkers know that some neighborhoods are hard to access depending on which train they live off of. On My Line, or let's say you want to try something new, but you don't want to waste time transferring trains. On My Line shows you restaurants, museums, and events all relative to your line. You can add a second line to connect with friends who live off of different trains. You can also save your favorite spots and text a friend the spots that you found.
Yeah. In our app, we use D3GL to visualize New York City boroughs and street maps and subway lines. D3 takes in GeoJSON and TopoJSON datasets to represent geographic features in JavaScript. We also use D3 transition interface to animate changes to the DOM for implementing our clickable and zoomable functionality.
When you're out and about or on the subway, good service can be hard to find. As On My Line is a progressive web app, we utilize service workers to ensure that you can still use On My Line when you're offline. They act as a client-side proxy server between the app and the network, allowing us to control when we use the network within the app.
Very nicely done. I think the ambitious is how I would describe a offline app for the subway, because it's very spotty down there. But I love the idea too. It's like, I won't go to any restaurant that's not on the red line, and I think my friends just know that. So this totally makes sense that I'll hang out
I
with
need
you.
this in my life.
Yeah, and it makes it easier for us when we look for full stack campus space. We want David to be there.
That's how my wife and I met. I said, I'll date anyone who lives on the 72nd Street station. So,
The next application is a game, and I'm a sucker for games. I love games, especially those with an arcade feel to them. Like my colleague John said earlier, games are great also because they have a lot of interesting problems that you can solve. Accelerando is a web arcade game that takes a classic idea, which is avoiding asteroids, and gives it a big twist. So in this game, both the content and the music are algorithmically generated.
Player starts at the edge of the asteroid field, giving them time to acclimate to the controls, not have to start dodging immediately. And at first, the asteroids come in slow and sparse. And you can see the beats per minute counter in the corner speeding up. And the player's score increases faster as the music speeds up. And the asteroids are generated randomly, so the player can't memorize a safe path. At 115 beats per minute, a new instrument comes in, and once it gets to 130, the hi-hat comes in and things get really hectic. And the player probably can't survive much longer unless they're really skilled, and they crashed, game over. But their valiant flight will not be lost to history because their score will be stored in a persistent, responsive database. And you can play my game at accelerando.space.
All right, to vote for Accelerando, like the post, like the pinned comment, and yeah, that's very well done. I love procedurally generated anything, and I think it's
Good. Good to know.
So I'm excited to try it, and I also love anything on the .space domain TLD. So two things for me working.
Yeah, and I like asteroids, and we should really have a. I feel like we should have a graduating game arcade or something.
You're in charge of the budget, so
Yes.
I'm 100% behind that if it's in the books.
Yeah.
So up next, we have a few more apps from the Grace Hopper program. This next application is one of the more technically ambitious projects I've ever seen. The Fong students have built a blockchain app for reducing food waste, all with a very slick mobile interface.
And we are thrilled to introduce you to our social blockchain app, Potluck. Potluck is designed to redirect food that might otherwise go to waste through personal networks. If you have unwanted food that others might still enjoy, you can use Potluck to trade it with others in your network. To facilitate these exchanges, we wrote smart contracts in Solidity, the language designed to interact with the Ethereum virtual machine. Most of you have probably heard of Bitcoin, but we were excited to explore alternative uses for blockchain technology outside of cryptocurrency.
So here's Jamie. She bought a big bag of apples and there's no way she can eat them all, but no worries because Potluck is here to help. She just adds them to her pantry and now everyone in her network can see that she has apples up for trade. Mark is in her network, so let's take a closer look at Mark's rendered view. When he selects the apples, it updates the state of the app, removing the item from his market. Once Mark sends Jamie a trade request, she gets a notification in her inbox. Now she can look through his pantry, select items, and send a request back. When Mark accepts the terms of the swap, It fires off a sequence of events that update their Ethereum smart contract, our database, and the way the view is rendered.
We also added a server-based implementation to our network system because the computational power needed to mine each block, as well as the memory necessary to add the blockchain, to download it and copy it, would be too taxing on some of the users that we envisioned would use our app. Therefore, we have Get, create, and store all the nodes in our own server and made our own machines mine the blocks necessary for transactions.
Quick reminder, if you're into blockchain and food sharing, like the post, like the pinned comment. That's really cool. You know, I'm a big fan of blockchain type stuff, and I'm also a big fan of communities of sharing. And I often find the problem is that oftentimes they're not infiltrated, but they're ruined by freeloaders, and yet they don't want to impose currency like, you know, USD, because it's like USD is all kinds of culture around it, right? So currencies like this kind of stuff is like a perfect kind of middle ground of, you know, I want to contribute, I want to share, but I don't necessarily want to charge people for my 5 Granny Smith apples.
Yeah, 100%. I give them a lot of credit for taking a very hot and growing area of technology, blockchain, and thinking of an original, non-traditional use case for it. I mean, anyone in the blockchain space right now is thinking cryptocurrency, ICOs, etc. So it was nice to think of something a little more wholesome, a little more community-oriented that still leverages this very new, very exciting technology.
In just 1 week, our fellow students, Koshin and Sierra, will be separated, and they want a way to keep in touch. That's why they've signed up for Adventure a Day, which sends them a new, shareable adventure every 24 hours. Koshin and Sierra both sign up for the general mission, and then Koshin sends Sierra a message to see how she's doing with her adventure.
On Team Home, users can view their team's adventures and solve their own individual adventure by clicking on the Upload Photo button. Users are then prompted to choose an existing photo from their camera reel, or they can take a picture. If the photo is not a match, it is added to their gallery as an unsuccessful attempt, and the user is prompted to try again. If it is a match, it is added to the gallery as a success, and that adventure is considered completed. When a user completes their adventure, their team members are informed via notification.
Over the past 2.5 weeks together, Erica, Catherine, and myself are going to be missing each other a lot from our separate corners of the country and are greatly looking forward to keeping in touch at adventureaday.tech and hope you will too.
I really like apps that actually kind of ask you to come back, and there's actually a storyline that plays out over multiple days. Like I think as a success for the application itself, and also, you know, engagement for the users, it's pretty big. And I think I love that this is an app that may actually convince people to get out of the home.
But I think Adventure a Day does a great job of actually, as you said, get the users out and about, but communicate, you know, forge novel experiences, share them with your friends. The, you know, actual foundations of building and maintaining friendships is right there within the app. So I give them a lot of credit.
And I like that the kind of the technical thinking around preserving battery life and like not. I think, you know, mobile apps are especially sensitive to that kind of thinking, at least.
Or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof,
yeah. So our final application for Grace Hopper is a really fun one. Squawk is kind of a hybrid of Cards Against Humanity and Whose Line Is It Anyway? It invites users to make their own soundtracks for video clips, and the results are often hilarious. I know.
Let's take a look at Squawk in action.
Hey, you, get over here. Yum, yum, yum. Ah, yum.
And an explosion.
Hey, you, get over here. Yum, yum, yum. Ah, yum.
Thank you for watching. Play Squawk live online. And check out our code on GitHub.
That's an awesome idea. I think it's the first time I've seen that, like that Cards Against Humanity mixed with, I mean, it seems like that app seems like a meme factory, right? It's like it's a really cool idea.
Even in the soundboard clips that I kept pushing upon them, there were there was like a meme-like effect that was happening. It was a lot of fun. Not only
I cannot wait to play some of these games.
Yeah.
So sorry for not introducing you earlier, Dan. Dan is also one of the other instructors on the Grace Hopper program. That was a great set of projects. I think wide variety, a lot of cool technology. I think there is a definite a preference for Firebase recently in these projects, and I think that's really cool. And even seeing things like Firebase functions, and one thing I saw in Squawk, they were doing lame encoding. Lame, the encoder was they doing browser side encoding there, or was that in the?
I believe so, actually. I think they were streaming via blobs.
Okay.
All their audiovisual assets. Yeah, I mean that was definitely one of the hairier technical problems that they had to wrestle with, but they managed to solve it quite early and just focus on the gameplay mechanics for most of their run. I mean, as an instructor, my job is so much easier when I have students who are ambitious and creative, and that's exactly what this cohort was.
Yeah.
So it's a real pleasure to teach and work with them.
Web development has changed so much, right? We've gone from like showing HTML pages to now doing all kinds of things. That server client, that line has become so blurred over the last couple of years even. Mark, do you want to show the overflow room in New York? Yeah, so these are full stack students in New York. Yeah. So these full stackers are coming up in probably 20-30 minutes. First, we're going to cut to Full Stack Chicago. And it looks like we are there in Chicago with Colin Miller. Colin is the instructor for the senior phase students in Chicago. And Colin, why don't you take it away? Tell us a little bit about the Chicago program.
And I don't want to could start a rivalry between New York and Chicago. I think we might win. Just as a better city, not in terms of programming. The programming is exactly the same.
So I'm going to choose the free writing option and start a session. So above the editor, I can see that I have a timer, a word count, prompts enabled for this session.
Once it's loaded, I see updated data visualizations built using React D3 wrapper libraries. I see a keyword cloud, personality traits, and tones for both this entry and all my entries, so I can draw interesting comparisons to be more self-aware. Now let's say I want to see detailed data on all my entries together as a whole. I go to the trends page and look at keywords. These keywords are sized based on frequency of usage. Based on this data, I see that people, time, and Paris are prominent in my writing.
I really like the diary apps, and I think I remember when I was in college, I had made something that would try to auto detect my sleeping times and my music listening habits, and I just love how it kind of analyzes your how this app Unblock Me analyzes your entries to try to kind of meta diary your life experience. It's really cool, a little bit freaky.
The next team, when I think about sort of the future of humans and computers, I see there's kind of two prediction paths that people are making. And one of them is total replacement. And the other is the idea of computers giving us more tools to choose from and sort of an assistance. And this next project is definitely on that second model of having some sort of machine intelligence to aid a human in doing their job more efficiently. And so they've built an application to help readers test whether or not their students have done the assigned reading.
What makes our app unique is that it automatically generates quiz questions for teachers. So let's say I'm a 6th grade teacher and I'm making a reading quiz based on a chapter of Harry Potter that I assigned for homework the night before. I can choose to play a past game, make a new one, or view student data from previous quizzes. To make a new quiz, I simply copy and paste the text of the night's reading into the text box. I can then choose from up to 5 different question types I might want to include. Once the quiz is made, I can add in questions and answers, delete questions, or add my own.
Let's say I'm a student in Courtney's class, and I definitely did the reading because I don't want to lose to my classmate Sunil again. Courtney just has to start the game on her computer, and then thanks to the real-time updates of Firebase, I can join from my own personal device. I'm submitting answers and seeing my scores on my own screen over there on the right, but the flow of the game is actually controlled by the teacher, so I can't jump from question to question and cheat. The leaderboard at the end of the game shows us how we all did, and it looks like Sunil got me this time.
Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, you are pretty good.
I did the reading, and the reading
Decent.
said unmute yourself.
Decent.
That was really cool, Con. I like what you were talking about. It's human augmentation, right? That's something that I've thought about for a long time, is how do you generate good quiz content? And having something that prompts you to do that, I think is a really smart idea. And the fact that they're doing NLP for that is quite cool. I'll have to look at this compromised library.
We're going to start at our beautiful main menu, and I'm going to create a game with 3 players. I just randomly generated a game ID on the main menu. In our database, a unique game has been created and put 144 random lettered tiles onto the community game pot.
So when I click split, Tom and I are given 21 tiles apiece from the game pot, and the game begins. To add suspense to the game, we created miniature versions of each player's board and added them to every player's screen. In brief, as Amanda adds tiles to her board, I see her progress out of the corner of my eye.
When Amanda clicks peel, every player gets a new tile from the game pot. If she uses them quickly, she can bury us in an avalanche of letters. When the community pot is depleted, Amanda can submit her game and claim victory. And here's the grand finale. Dancing bananas! Woo!
We're actually playing a quick game of Bananagrams right now, and I'm beating Nimit by 4 points. So, very, very, very well done. I think Bananagrams is. I really like what was said at the end, that games are we take so much for granted, right? But all these nouns that we talk about, every noun has to be encapsulated, or every noun and every verb with that noun has to be encapsulated into software, right? Yeah. And it's you started saying tile. Oh, I gotta create a tile, representation of a tile in code. Placement, relationship to each other. It's a really, that's why one thing I love about games is that it's a job of mapping reality into software, which I think is what software programmers do day and night, right? And oftentimes we're doing it with more abstract things like line of business rules. But when you have a board game, it becomes very concrete, yet it still captures the complexities of that mapping.
Also, my screen right now says victory. FYI, it has a lot of bananas on it.
I begin the game by submitting my AI's interest, the outdoors, and my starting word, spider.
At this point, I can see both my starting word and the word chosen by the AI. My goal is to select a word related to both. You might wonder how we prevent the AI from picking something I've never heard of. We account for this by restricting the machine's first word to a set of the 1,500 most common nouns. This helps stabilize the initial conditions of the game. So let's go here. Spider and camp. I'll choose forest. Forest and jungle. That sounds like rainforest. Nice. Victory. With thousands of words in the English language, we've converged on the same word in just a few rounds.
Enter word embeddings, aka thinking of words as points in space. In a 3D space, we can view things from many different angles, allowing 2 points to be far or close, depending on your perspective. We can use this trick to get close to things in some way while remaining distant in some other way, like these people who tricked me into believing that they're holding up the Leaning Tower of Pisa. We use this same idea, but instead of 3 dimensions, a whopping 200. This gives us room to capture many complex associations.
All right, that was awesome. I was actually trying it out. It's incredible the words that the AI was guessing in between.
Yeah.
I couldn't win though, but it was really cool.
I played that game a lot, and I did find that once you sort of get a sense for how it thinks, you can start to win it, and it starts to make some really incredible leaps that start to make me concerned.
Yeah, the word to vec. I think the word vectoring. It's I'm a big fan of the game code names, and it was making jumps like that. 'Cause I typed in Superman, and then it was garbage. It's okay, and then I typed in Clark, and it was Lois Lane. I was like, whoa.
The producers have told me that we're going to redo Flock because there is some recording issue with the sound, and people on Facebook were saying they couldn't hear it.
Okay, sounds great. All right, take it away, Flock.
Nowadays, people move around so often that oftentimes our closest friends live in totally different cities, and it's hard to make the time and the plans and save the money to see each other regularly. So let's say that our time at Fullstack has ended, we've all gone to our separate cities, but we want to meet up for some kind of reunion this summer somewhere. We want to flesh out our plans from beginning to end. Let's use Flock.
Now I'm going to go ahead and create a trip and invite my capstone teammates. As you can see, we're each coming from our own individual cities with our own individual budgets. Alyssa's coming from New York, Alyssa from Philadelphia, Alexa from Omaha, and myself from Chicago. When I generate a list of cities that we can go to, Flock makes an API call to get all of the routes that each of us can individually travel to. Flock passes all this information into our algorithm, which returns a list of overlapping cities, aka our list of potential destinations. My friends and I are each given 3 votes so that we can emphasize which city we want to go to. The list is then automatically sorted by popularity, which helps us to select our final destination, in this case, Seattle.
Now that we know where we're going,
I'm going to enter my hotel and flight information on the dashboard so my friends know when I arrive and depart. Then I'll head to the idea board where I'll select my ideas of what we can do.
I've never been to Seattle before, and I don't know where any of our activities are in relation to each other. I'll click over to the map, and when I click on a date, activities are sorted chronologically, and routes are created so I can quickly see how feasible our plans are. For example, Marymore Park Concerts is on the complete opposite side of Salty's on Alki Beach. I'll click back over to the schedule and move Marymore Park Concerts to a different day. Now, if I go back to the map, I can refresh my route and see that it's been updated. That looks a lot better.
All right, well done, Flock. Let's give the crowd out there a second chance to vote for Flock. Like the post, like the pinned comment. I think Chicago is hoping to retain the crown, the project crown, for the last 2 times. That's an awesome set of projects, Chicago. I think wide breadth and a lot of cool things. I think a lot of games that we've seen for the first time, right? Bananagrams, things with that, a convergence that really reminds me a lot of like codenames with HAL 9000 kind of thing. Now we're back in New York to show the Fullstack New York immersive projects. This is going to be an amazing set of 13 projects. Here I am with Corey Greenwald. Corey is the instructor, is one of the two or three instructors for one of the 2 instructors for the Fullstack New York immersive program.
This is an awesome group of students. I think they're going to hopefully give Chicago a run for their money this year. That's what we're hoping. So we're going to start it off really nice and strong out the gate. We have one team that was really focused early on like solving this problem with getting like genetic algorithm testing into the hands of scientists in a much more easy to use interface. So they focused on dealing with like a large amount of data and having to actually distribute this data, which is a task that scientists often can't deal with themselves. They go to different techs and engineers to actually take care of this for them. And let's go ahead and go over to them and kind of take a look at how they put this thing together.
Today, if you wanted to create a custom machine learning algorithm, you'd probably have to write it yourself or hire a developer. And when it comes to running the algorithm, you'd most likely use pay-as-you-go infrastructure. That's why we created 46. It's a platform that lets users easily customize and run genetic algorithms. Genetic algorithms are just a specific machine learning technique. It simulates evolution in order to solve problems. Additionally, we take the computational load of one of these simulations and we distribute it across multiple web browser clients.
This interface allows users to customize the fitness function and other common parameters of a genetic algorithm. This means that users can create a new genetic algorithm without creating a new standalone application. We knew that this view could be a potential security concern because we're allowing users to input code that will be run on other users' browsers. To combat this, we implemented Sandbox.js, which uses a child process to test and isolate code and prevent things such as cross-site scripting and infinite loops. Running your algorithm on one computer could take prohibitively long. To overcome this constraint, we broke the job down into many smaller tasks and then distributed these tasks across different web browser nodes in a network.
On the left, you see what the creator of an algorithm sees when their experiment is running. And on the right, you see what a contributor sees. A contributor can come and go as they please without interrupting the continuity of an experiment.
That was really cool, Corey. I think the distributed problem-solving nature of genetic algorithms all done in the browser, and then getting those like live real-time updates, that's quite something for sure.
I think it's crazy that they didn't just stop at like distributing the task between multiple clients, but then also using web workers to like split that task further on a single client's browser. I think that was just really intuitive and really kind of maximizing performance, and especially like living in the single-threaded JavaScript world, just maximizing that distribution with asynchronous tasks. So that was really cool. Sometimes when we have academics meetings, I get really heated, and oftentimes you probably wish you had like a mute button to like probably quiet me down. Come on. And so maybe that the next time we conduct one of these meetings, we might actually want to use these Next Students platform. It's really interesting. It's an online debate platform, and they dealt with so many cool issues like peer-to-peer and video streaming, but I don't want to take it away from them. Let's head over to Bigger to hear more.
So Bigger is a social entertainment platform that allows users to connect with and debate with each other over live video streaming. Now, we wanted to focus on giving users as much interactivity as possible. So we developed the following key user features for users to have access to. Now, as a user, I can join channels. Within those channels, I can chat with other users. And within those channels, I can also watch the live debate that's going on. And I can even jump in on the fun and join the debate myself.
Only logged in users can even add themselves to the queue. Once you've added yourself to the queue, an event is emitted that lets everybody know. And once someone else queues up, those two people are removed from the queue. They become debaters. By default, we give people 5 seconds of lead-in time to prepare themselves, 10 seconds of actual debate time. And after that, the debate automatically ends, and the next two people in the queue become debaters.
A lot of the issues that they had to deal with video streaming, I think, is something that a lot of students kind of overlook in terms of a topic that they might have to encounter until they're out of here. So it was definitely cool to deal with that and have a group that really got to experience that. So.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are Breadcrumbs, and I'm Kevin Ho. This is Jesse Moskowitz, Shannon Yee, and Vanessa Jimenez. We're an augmented reality React Native iOS app inspired by the classic German fairy tale, Hansel and Gretel. Users can create or follow a trail of digital breadcrumbs rendered as 3D AR objects using your iPhone's camera. Breadcrumbs is a solution to many of today's problems, both big and small. Whether you're finding a lost loved one, finding your car, finding the right room on the first day of class, or even following a trail to your friend's hidden waterfall on their favorite hike.
Every time Kevin views a trail of breadcrumbs, an AR camera session is instantiated onto his phone. 3JS gave us the ability to render the 3D orbs onto the scene. This is imposed upon Expose 3's AR camera session and positioned along XYZ coordinates relative to his phone. As part of our agile development process, test users gave us iterative feedback. For every trail created, we created reverse trails. This way users could go back to their origin.
All right, vote for breadcrumbs. Like the post, like the pinned comment. That was awesome. It was like I'm amazed how accurate the pinning of the 3D objects is to real-time space. That because in Pokemon Go, even you feel like there's some flex in where it is, right? But this one, it was like locked on hard.
I think it was because they really focused on like mapping within a particular geographical small location, and so like it wasn't necessarily geo mapped, which they gave a good reason for doing that kind of geospatial distances isn't as precise. And I think that's sort of a nice product because when we all, Google Maps is really good at getting us from like far point A to point B, but as soon as we get close, it's like I'm like spinning around. I don't know where I am. I don't know what direction I'm facing. And this, I think, really does a good job. Maybe that says more about me, I guess, but I digress. Yeah. So what do you want for dinner? No, what do you want for dinner?
What do I want for dinner?
Right? That's like a common question that every single relationship ever poses at each other, like that back and forth, right? Ever.
Oh, no. Literally.
Yeah. That's real dialogue right there. So this problem only gets worse though when you start to coordinate like with a group of friends. And so this group sought out to kind of solve that. And so let's hear it from 5218.
Now, Leo's waiting room renders a map which pins everyone's current geolocation and a list of friends that he's waiting on. We chose to use Expo's React Native map component, which allow us to utilize the map functionality on our devices. With this component, we are able to customize the range of map view and pin every user's coordinates. A challenge we faced was gathering the information and distributing the information within our app to our Heroku server in real time. We tackled this challenge by using WebSockets, which listen and broadcast all information within the same channel.
After Leo votes, he's taken to another lobby to wait for the rest of his friends. This can take time, but since Leo created the event, he's able to override these votes since it is 6:30 p.m. and a work night.
One thing I'm already seeing is a lot of interest in React Native, especially around Expo. That's become like a very hot topic, I think, down here. That's a perennial project. I see people. I eat the same thing every day, and you can see Nimit here is a Soylent drinker. So it doesn't resonate with us. Every day the Soylent, but I see that project over again, and that was done very well. I like the mechanic, and I like how the state is being updated across the users. So.
You know where the game name comes from? 521. It's a Reddit life pro tip. That was like, you select 5 places to eat, then somebody else eliminates it down to 2, and then somebody finally picks 1. It was kind of a pun off of that. That's to give away the mystery, but that's, yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Diana, and this is Itai, Alan, and Daniela. We created the app Alphabet City. Alphabet City is a location-based word game that incorporates augmented reality. Think Words with Friends meets Pokemon Go. In our game, users can explore their city to search for letters and use those letters to create words and earn points. Those words are then placed on a map for others to see. As soon as a user opens the app, we begin to track their current location, and we continue to do this using Expo's location module. Using React Native maps developed by Airbnb, we place markers on the map, including one for the user's current location and many more for the surrounding letters. Once a user signs up and logs in, they can see their available letters and also take a number of actions.
And once a user gets close to a letter, they'll get a contextual alert, which will allow them to enter AR view and pick up the letter. We've scattered letters all over the map, and they're all represented by these purple circles. The radius of the circle is proportional to the letter point value. So the higher the point value, the bigger the circle.
So our users' apps connect to a backend server hosted on Heroku, where we store our game data users' information. So when a user submits a word, it's posted on their server endpoint and then via an AJAX request, and then checked for validity against a dictionary in the backend.
In Alphabet City, the city is your board and your bag of letters. We've scattered letters all around the real Alphabet City, as well as QR codes for our app. If you'd like to see the code, you can do so today on GitHub. And if you'd like to play our game, we invite you to download the Expo Client app to get started and scan the QR code to the left or follow the Expo link to the right.
Wow, good. These AR projects are incredible. I'm blown away how much they're able to get done in such a short time. And not that I really have to give credit to that team because I think they have a very sharp eye for design. That whole app was beautiful.
Yeah,
it's like,
I was going to point that out. The app is honestly, it's gorgeous, and I think that they did a really good job with like game logic, like giving fuzzy directions on where a letter could be to kind of add a little bit of element of actually finding in the game, and it looks really. And they stumbled with a bunch of challenges, like they mentioned that they actually reached out to the developers and spoke to them and found bugs with Expo 3, and it was really cool. So I got to give them a lot of credit. A lot of cool AR projects this time around, honestly.
So Groupbox is an app that allows users to watch videos together in real time. The way it works is users can add videos to shared rooms. Each video gets added to a queue, and users can up or downvote videos to decide what gets played next.
So any user in a room can add videos to the queue from YouTube, and when you paste a video in, we take its OEmbed information by making a YouTube API call, and that comes back as a JSON object, which we can then use that metadata stored in our database to render this cue card with things like the thumbnail and the title for the video.
So one of the most important features of an app like this is making sure that the voting aspect remains actually democratic. So that means that a user can only vote once per video. So to implement this, we added a join table that connects a video ID, a user ID, and a vote direction. So this way, when a user logs into a room, that data is fetched from the server, added to the client-side Redux store, and all the videos in the queue can be checked against the user's previous votes, that the button that matches the user's previous vote direction can be disabled.
I feel like that was a lot of really cool technology to build the ultimate karaoke app. Because that's like that to me is the perfect use of group boxes to do karaoke. Because every time Nimit puts on "Hold On" by Wilson Phillips, I'm just like, vote that thing up.
You're supposed to tell everyone about music choices. Like, one feature I would really want is to be able to vote on playback speed. And like, let's say you don't want to skip it, but you're getting really bored and you just want to like rush it a little bit, right?
Now we're joined by Omri. Omri is going to walk us through 7 full stack projects. Omri is one of the instructors here. And Omri, why don't you take it away? It's excited to see this group of projects.
Yeah, cool. So we're gonna have 7 more here. And to start us off, I remember you all were talking about like augmented humans for technology. I feel like this next app is a really good example of that. It's a VR app, but it's very much focused on humans and education. So why don't they take it away?
The user is going to be prompted with a language and then a quest. Our quest prompts and rewards are set via our relational database. The goal is for the user to successfully finish the conversation in the chosen language and then to receive the reward that is associated with their chosen quest.
Based on what language and quest the user selects, the relevant prompts and all of their associated responses are eager loaded from our database and translated via a call to Google's translation API while the models load in the background. Once a user initiates conversation with a character, Lingua uses the Mozilla speech-to-text API, which is already built into most browsers, to recognize their vocal input. Once a match is found, our conversational utility function determines the path that the conversation will take and the next prompt.
You know, sometimes when I see these student projects, I'm reminded that like we're still in the very early stages of a lot of cool things that will come down the pipe, right? Sometimes you think like everything that can be done on the web is done, but then I see something like this, I'm like, no, you know, conversation practice is still. I mean, Duolingo is like the advanced tech. It's like mostly text-based, right? And so
yeah, and I mean, and this seemed very advanced, and yet you're right. Like it kind of gives you a picture into how much is
what
possible,
can be, yeah,
and how crazy this could get. Yeah,
I love that robot octopus chef.
Is that from Fallout?
No.
It looks like a Fallout.
I love it. So our next team is Warbler. And they're solving a problem that's at least near and dear to my heart. As an engineer, I don't know about YouTube, but I really find database migrations pretty painful, especially all these random edge cases you bump into. They have a pretty cool solution up there, so they'll take it away.
Warbler offers a graphical user interface that makes it a lot easier for business and technical teams to modify live databases on the fly.
Tom and Sue have selected a project they want to work on. Now they need to select a corresponding database. So they choose a database, and PG queries that database and saves the information on our Redux store. Warbler then utilizes React to dynamically render the model information. On the left are the models or the tables. On the right are the attributes or properties along with the property type. We're using Material UI to make the interface look modern and clean.
Now, at this point, Sue's going to hit the migrate button. And what's going to happen is that those changes that she made to our database in the GUI, those are going to get processed and written to our project directory as migration files.
I'm very impressed they even identified that as a problem, and then had a solution of using immutable JS to capture a sequence of database migrations, and then like and kind of compress it to its minimal form, right? Because I think that, you know, I think if they had ended it and said, yeah, then you're making these changes, they reflect on the database, I'd be like, yeah, you know, very cool. But the fact that they're using immutable JS to capture those changes and then compress that through the difference map, I'd be curious to see the intermediary data structures, because that's really cool.
It's pretty awesome, and it allows it so that like if they add a column and then delete a column and add it back, it's not like three operations that you need necessarily. Like the immutable diff,
kind of like what a compiler will do to unnecessary changes. I mean, I think in general for developers who are starting out working with you know, SQL databases or really any kind of database, over time, like managing schema is ridiculous when you keep adding and removing developers. And so in general, I mean, I think, you know, this kind of database migration tools are just a godsend.
I can nerd about this forever. Okay. I love this one. We're going to go on to pre-Oracle next. This is a team that identified the issue of how do we know what something is worth? Like if you just need to like sell some random thing you've got or whatever, how can you figure out how much it's worth? And it's a definitely simple problem statement. And they found a pretty cool idea of how they can go about it.
Once a user is logged in, they can either view their listings or create a new listing. If they choose to create a new listing, then the algorithms will get triggered.
So as you can see, the pricing algorithm is made up of two components. One is the scraping algorithm and one is the machine learning algorithm. So scraping algorithm is basically a program that just scrapes the internet for relevant data and then incorporates it into calculating the scraper price. So for pre-Oracle, we decided we'll use Amazon, Google, eBay, and Craigslist.
Once a user submits a pricing request, that pricing request gets converted into a vector of numerical features. For the MLB t-shirt example, we have only 15 features that are active out of a total of nearly 300,000 features. In the next step, the features are passed in as an input to our machine learning pricing algorithm, which is based on a rich regression model. And finally, that rich regression model produces a price prediction, which for the MLB t-shirt amounts to roughly $8.60.
So now if a user clicks on one of those graph icons for an individual listing, they'll see a table and a graph, which will display changes in our valuations over time.
It's impressive how much data the pre-Oracle team is even extracting from APIs. I think just that scraping is like a whole separate project without, I wonder how many times they got our Wi-Fi banned on the various APIs that we didn't even know about. But
yeah, it was really cool. I mean, they're really tenacious, right? It was like they have their machine learning and they've got like API calls. And for the things they couldn't do API calls, they scraped. It was just like they're getting it from everything they can. Yeah. Up next, I decided I just want to give this team a very short intro, which is it's alive. So take it away.
Frankenstyle is a Chrome extension that allows a user to manipulate the appearance of any website using an easy-to-use graphical user interface.
So imagine we have a user, Frank, who is a developer interested in installing his website. Through the pop-up, Frank initializes the app as an iframe sidebar. Frank can then find an element to style by hovering over the page, where a border outlines the current element.
For example, going back to our example with Frank, let's say he decides that he needs to style his page more, maybe by changing the font color, background color, and maybe flex. In order to do that, he just needs to go to Flex tab, where he can enable Flex box by just clicking on a button.
So now Frank can download all of his changes as a CSS file that he can later apply directly to his code base.
To vote for Frankenstyle, follow the instructions below, like the post, like the pinned comment. That's it. It's very nice.
it's a kind of AR.
Yeah, it's
kind of
2D
except like reality plus. So yeah, I mean, I really liked Frankenstyle. I think I always appreciate when students kind of appreciate CSS and you know all the power that it holds. Like in some sense, it's very. I feel like it's actually I think underloved and underappreciated, and so I think they built actually a pretty powerful tool that helps you appreciate CSS even more and learn it a little bit.
Our next team built a card game that we've played at game night here before. It's Sushi Go, and it's sort of a half collaborative, half competitive game. You're each trying to score points and you're passing your hands off. So it's really cool. They're about to show it to you.
For our goal for Capstone was to create a fun and interactive application while learning something new. We decided to recreate the card game Sushi Go for mobile. At the beginning of each round, each player will receive a floating hand. The player will select a card that he or she wants to keep and pass the rest to the next player. The round is over when there are no more cards left to pass. Because each card have its own unique function, we had to create custom algorithms to calculate the point value of each card. These algorithms will be used at the end of each round and at the end of the game.
Definitely, I can tell that team has both a sense of humor and a sense of design, and so
Yes.
it's good things for making games. I don't know the game itself, but it looks like a pretty fun. It's like pretty fun and pretty good use for mobile. So.
And we are the team behind Volunteers Connect. So there are many platforms out there that connect volunteers with opportunities. But potential volunteers might be reluctant to sign up for an opportunity because they have no idea what to expect. They just don't know what the experience is going to be. And that's the problem we have addressed.
When a potential volunteer first logs in and initiates a search, we fetch his or her current location zip code using Google's geolocations API and return the list of events in a 5-mile radius of that zip code. Now when a user wants to volunteer for an event, once the event has been activated, users can now contribute to the real-time feed by posting text, images, or videos.
One thing I love about Fullstack is seeing people who are not techies, or not necessarily just pure technologists, see other problems and bring that into here, right? And I think that volunteer platforms, my guess is most of it's done kind of ad hoc via email or like Facebook, right? But to have a custom platform for them is really cool. And I think I was just playing with it right now. It's got a lot of promise if they stick with it.
Yeah, I saw you sign up for something. What did you sign up for?
I am signing up for Details, sports journalism writer for Asphalt Green Community Sports League's newsletter.
That is right up your alley. Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly. Yeah, you love sports.
I love sports and I love journalism.
Our last team is the Scrapper team. They had a whole lot of fun, and they built something that allows you to collaborate on some cool scrapbooking ideas. So take it away, Scrapper.
People love taking photos, but aggregating multiple viewpoints from a shared experience has never been easy. It's like those disposable cameras that they give out at weddings. Everybody takes photos, but nobody gets to really see the results. This led us to a question. How can different people contribute to tell a single story? Our solution was Scrapper. a collaborative real-time scrapbooking application. Participants simply click on a link they receive in order to upload photos.
Upon receiving their invite, a user can follow their personalized link to an upload page at scrapwrap.com, where they can immediately begin contributing content, either by choosing an existing image from their photo gallery or taking a new one. After an image is uploaded, the user can immediately toggle over to view the event's photo mosaic, where they could see the image they just uploaded alongside other content that has been uploaded by their fellow event attendees.
With our front end built entirely in React with Redux, we can easily trigger mosaic re-renders when each client's mosaic updates with a new image.
Okay,
I built a scrapper of this whole demo day. Just kidding.
Okay, very cool. We've been inside it the whole time.
We've been inside Scrapper this whole time, actually.
Scrap perception. Yeah. All right. That wraps up another demo day set of presentations. Awesome work, everyone. Full Stack New York. Give yourself a round of applause. Woo! I continue to love seeing the React Native and Expo stuff. And I also just live in like pure web apps, like things like Scrapper, things like the travel app, things like.
I continue to be floored by the quality and really the ambition that students and I guess graduating developers display. It's really inspiring.
I think everyone did an amazing job, but we live in a victory
Some
culture.
more than others. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
All right, so it's time to announce the winners. So first, we're going to do the Developers Choice Award, which is voted on by all students and presenters today. So Val, my understanding is that you're pushing the poll live on Slack, and students can see the poll. All right, 10 seconds to vote. Okay, voting is done. Val, do we have a winner across the entire Full Stack and Grace Hopper cohort? Do we have a winner?
Creation of bytes.
All right, very nice. So for the Developers Choice Award, in second place is Boomerang. Woo! Boomerang.
All right.
Boomerang.
All right, Boomerang.
Boomerang. It was in. I was the first one to go. That was remote.
Yeah, that was the first remote project. Wow.
Incredible. They're trying to like that education platform. That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Slideshows and that's what happens when you use
educate everyone.
Yeah.
How to build a cool
All right.
app.
Second place is Boomerang. Second place for the Developer's Choice is Boomerang. And in first place, the winner of the Developer's Choice Award is Convergence. Woo! All right, Convergence.
All right, from Chicago.
Chicago
Great work.
team. Chicago. Is that Chicago? Yeah.
That's right. The last one from Chicago.
Chicago wins again.
Pulled it through.
The Midwest. Okay, very nice. Convergence is the winner of the Developer's Choice Award. Val, I am waiting for the winner of the Facebook Live Award. Val, do we have a winner? Okay, and the Facebook Live Award, the Facebook Live winner is Alphabet City.
Yeah!
City.
Nice work. This is the first AR app to win.
It's the first AR app winner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
If there's one
It's a
thing we
new
know about
world.
people, they like picking up things in the real world from their phone. That's awesome. Alphabet City is beautiful. All right, so that wraps up another demo day here at Full Stack and Grace Hopper. Thank you for watching. Thank you all the students for participating. And of course, congratulations to everyone for really just doing an amazing job and having a piece of code that I think is ready to be something great if people keep at it. I think that's something that I always am impressed by. All right, and finally, if you are interested in building awesome apps like this, working in an awesome community like this, feel free to check us out more at fullstackacademy.com and gracehopper.com for information about our programs, being a student, and of course, other things, just life and culture here at Full Stack Academy. All right, thank you again, and we'll see everyone again in March for the next Full Stack Grace Hopper Demo Day.